Welcome to Last Night in Basketball. I'm Jared Dubin. Klay Thompson is heading to the Dallas Mavericks after the NBA's first ever 6-team trade. It's incredibly easy to see the appeal of this. Instead of kicking out to Josh Green or Tim Hardaway or Derrick Jones Jr., when Luka Doncic throws it, it's going to be Klay Thompson or Klay Thompson shooting the ball from the corners. But it's not just the fact that Klay is one of the best shooters the game has ever seen that makes him such an intriguing fit. He also has one of the fastest releases in the NBA. When you take a look at the second spectrum data, you can see that Klay's shot from gather to release was faster than every single player in the Mavericks rotation last season. Klay doesn't need all that much space to fire to begin with, and with Luka providing him looks, he may have more space than ever before. But in addition to just the fact that he's a great shooter, there's also how his shots come that's really intriguing. Specifically, I'm fascinated by the idea of using Klay as a screener for Luka in pick and rolls. Nobody in the NBA has run more guard-guard ball screens over the last 3 years than Luka, and those ball screens have been incredibly effective, almost no matter who the guy setting the screen for him is. And if things worked out this well for Dallas with those guys setting the screens, there's the potential for things to be even more dangerous when it's Klay Thompson setting the screen and popping out to the perimeter. And when you look at the second spectrum data again, you can see that Klay actually set more ball screens during the 2023-24 season than at any previous point in his career. And it's no secret why using him this way would be so effective. The threat he poses as a shooter just throws opposing defenses into chaos. Look at the Grizzlies top blocking him right here and how much space that creates for Jonathan Kuminga to get all the way to the rim. Watch how freely and easily the Kings give this switch on the Wiggins-Klay pick and roll because they don't want to take the chance that Klay could pop open for even a second. If and when he does pop open in these actions, things get even more dire for the defense. Obviously, the threat of him pulling away from three is basically a 5-alarm fire. So defenses send whatever they can to prevent that shot. And when you send emergency help at a shooter like that, somebody's going to end up wide open, usually for an even easier shot than the one that he was going to get. It works the same way even when he doesn't get the ball. Watch KCP here and how the fact that he has to stay attached to Klay in this action leaves Kevon Looney wide open in the middle of the paint. That type of attention that he draws from opposing defenses is the kind of thing that can open things up even against the best defenders in the league. Devin Vassell basically cannot leave Klay. That means Kuminga actually has a chance to finish at the rim against Wemby. And obviously, all of this is even before we account for the fact that Klay is a significant threat to score himself out of these actions, and that you can get really creative with the way you use him here, sending him off a screen himself after he sets the ball screen. And it's actually with that use of off-ball screens where things might have to change a little bit in Dallas. Klay was first in the NBA in off-ball screen usage according to Second Spectrum. He used more off-ball screens per 100 possessions than the entire Mavericks team did last season. Whether with things like floppy action or even just standard low-post splits, there are so many different ways that Klay can pose a danger to opposing defenses when you use him off the ball in this way. And because of that, the Mavs are almost going to have to incorporate more of this into their offense for next season. And just the same way as it was in pick and rolls, it's not like this results in baskets for Klay and Klay alone. Defenses have to pay significant attention to him when he comes off screens, and that just opens things up for guys on the roll. He's one of the better pocket passers after he comes around an off-ball screen. And that's the case when he's coming off of staggers around the baseline, and it's the case in low-post splits. The Mavs don't do all that much of this, but they're going to have to incorporate it more with Klay on the team. In the same way the Warriors use Chris Paul or Steph Curry in these type of actions, the Mavs could use Kyrie Irving, especially when the two of them are playing without Luka Doncic on the second unit. Dallas has a few different big men that are good enough passers to make this kind of thing work for them. This isn't really in the offensive arsenal in a big way, but it should be. And again, it's not just about Klay winding up open. When you run him off screens, somebody is going to be open, often incredibly so. Even a few years removed from his devastating injuries, defenses still treat it as a potential emergency when the possibility of him touching the ball on the perimeter comes about. You really don't want to let that dude let it fly, and that means somebody's going to wind up open. That's why when it comes to making things work in Dallas, the threat of Klay is going to be just as important as the actuality.